I feel that their teachers in their schools will be the best ones to be able to nurture, develop, and also to find opportunities for these kids to shine. And so I feel that the supervisors, their principals, their guru besar play a really big role in empowering teachers. I'm able to say that the potential for the kids that are born in Sarawak is very much exactly the same as kids born in New York City.
What is up, guys? My name is Charles Liew. Welcome to Biz Chat with Charles Liew, where I talk to real business people about real business stuff. But hey, why so serious? But when I say real business people, you're thinking about, people working in huge companies, driving large cars. But we're not going to do that this season. Okay, we did that the first season. That's fine. But this season, we're going to approach from that. We're going to look into every single industry that we can think of in Sarawak this season, and we're going to talk to very different, very diverse set of people. Today, we have a teacher. And his name is Jarod Yong, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
Burning question, why did you become a teacher?
Okay, Charles, I know you want to start with the hard stuff right away, but I'm prepared. Okay, so let me introduce myself a little bit first, right?
Sure.
Before I go into the whys.
Absolutely.
So I'm an English language teacher at SMK Katibas in Kuching.
Sure.
I have been a teacher since 2009. That's
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I were to sum up my why in one word, it would be serendipity.
Why? Like, why did you start teaching in the first place? What made you a teacher?
Yeah, like what I said, serendipity, right?
Right.
It's not something that I decided when I was like one years
Sure,
old, coming
sure.
out of my mom.
So what
like,
happened?
I want to be a teacher.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's something that, the decisions you make along the way,
Sure.
and the talents that you've developed along the way has led you down to this path.
Okay.
And like for me, I feel that this is the path where I'm able to contribute most.
Sure. I mean, before the nurturing of the talents, right? Because it takes being a teacher to do that, right? So let's go all the way back. That decision to want to be a teacher.
Okay, that decision to be a teacher only happened after I became a teacher.
Wow.
Okay, so do you want me to tell that story?
For sure.
Okay, I did my teacher's training. I actually got into a government scholarship to go to New Zealand for a few years to do my degree. Came back.
Teaching?
In teaching, yes.
Okay.
Teaching English. Came back. On my posting form, right? You know what I wrote? I wrote in BM, di mana saya diperlukan dan kebolehan saya dimanfaatkan. For me, as a teacher, if I am a talented person, I can thrive anywhere. Put me in the island, I will be a good teacher. I will survive, I will thrive. You put me in a mountain, I will thrive. You put me in the city, I will thrive. You put me in the middle of the jungle, which is what they did, I will thrive. And I was there from 2009 until 2015. And throughout those 5 to 6 years, I've done a lot of programs, I've done a lot of initiatives to solve problems that are faced by my students.
You got posted there as a teacher, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And you went to the teaching school in New Zealand?
Malaysia and New Zealand.
Malaysia and New Zealand, studying teaching, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Before the offer to study teaching, did you say, I want to be a teacher? Or were you offered that and you thought, this is on the table,
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it?
You know what? I'm telling you the truth. I went for it because it was a really good offer.
Sure.
And you know what? My thinking about this is, teachers are very important. They can ruin lives, right? And they can save lives. So I'm going to take this course. I'm going to be a teacher for however long they require me to be, which was like 4 years or 5 years. And if at the end of that journey, I'm a horrible teacher, tak boleh guna punya cikgu, I'm gonna stop. I am able to change lives if I'm able to do a lot of good, right? Then I should continue.
Understand.
And so at the end of that journey, you know, like there's a feeling that you get when you okay, there's a deep sense of satisfaction with what I do. What do I mean? My kids, my kids, they stay in the school, they have no access to tuition, no device. So I know if their result improve, my effort
Absolutely.
and their effort.
Absolutely.
So I see my kids improving. I see the change. Like at first, takut tak cakap English, but over time they get comfortable. They start using it on their own outside of class.
Yeah.
So as a teacher, when you see that, the sense of satisfaction,
Absolutely.
job satisfaction is
Absolutely.
unbelievable.
Absolutely.
So it was at that moment when I decided, like, you know what, I'm able to do a lot of good as a teacher. It pays me decently, right? And so that was when I decided to become a teacher. So with all the work that I've done in my previous school, SMK Katibas, I actually applied for a scholarship from Fulbright, which is an American, US institution, and I got it. So I got a scholarship paid by Fulbright to go to US to do my master's at Columbia University, at the first teachers college in the country. While studying there, I also worked. I taught at the colleges, and so when I was teaching there, right, I worked my way up.
Sure.
I tested myself. Like I want to prove that I can make it in an English-speaking country.
Sure.
That was my motivation going there.
Sure.
I taught college students and adults. When I look at my students over there, the sense of satisfaction is very different. You know what I'm saying? Like these college kids or these adults, their futures are gonna be so much better than my kids back in Katibas.
Absolutely. We can read about all of the issues about these very isolated places in the jungles, but I think learning firsthand from you would be fantastic. And I think when we look at Sarawak as a state and we say we can do more, our economy is okay, but it can be more. And so this season we're going to be looking at all of the different industries that could be better. And I think we have a lot of human capital inside the rural areas, and that is why Jarod is here today. We've painted a picture as to what's happening in the rural areas. Okay, I love the stories of the river. I love the stories of there not being electricity at some point or another. I think with that picture in mind, allow that to simmer in your head. We'll go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about how we can actually tap the talents in those areas. We'll be right back. And we're back to BIZ Chat with Charles Liew, and we're still with Jarod, our champion teacher. Now, like we have said just now, Jarod spent about 5 years in this place called Katibas, a pretty rural area, 2 hours boat ride to Song, and then 1 hour boat ride from Song to Katibas. Okay, so very rural. Now, the point of this episode is to look at whether or not there are untapped talents that we can harness from places like Katibas that we have overlooked. Okay, now tell me this. What's your view? Are there talents there?
Well, I believe that there are talents everywhere, especially in the more rural parts of Sarawak.
Why especially?
So I'm going to speak from my experience.
Absolutely.
In Katibas itself, and in order to help your audience understand what I'm trying to say, is let's I want to bring up this nature versus nurture concept.
Yeah.
Okay. So nature is our highest potential.
Yeah.
Okay, our DNA. That's what we're born with, and nurture is what helps us to achieve that potential. Okay, so in my experience as an educator in Sarawak.
For perspective, that's a seed and watering it, right? So the nurture bit is the watering bit. The seed is the nature
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. Okay, the seed is the nature. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm able to say that the potential for the kids that are born in Sarawak is very much exactly the same as kids born in New York City. In fact, I feel that our kids have much more to give because we live in a very multicultural context and we're able to move in between different cultures fluidly, which is amazing stuff that is very hard to replicate elsewhere in the world. Now, where we fall short is not nature. Where we fall short is nurture. What happens to a child's brain, right? From 0 to 6 years old. So that is when the brain has the greatest amount of development compared to any other point in their lives. From 0 to 3 years old, at 3 years old, that's when a child's brain is 80% the size of an adult brain. 5 years old, it's 90%. At 6 years old, it's 95%. Okay, so from 0 to 6, that's when the kid is absorbing everything, absorbing. The brain is growing. So that time in a child's development is the most important time. And if a child is placed in an environment or in a setting where they get to be challenged, they get to develop their natural curiosity, they get books to read, they get to listen to music, they get to try different experiences, they get to build good relationships with their parents.
Different stimuli.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exposed to different languages. They absorb all of that.
Yeah.
And what we give them at this age actually helps them to, set them up well enough that by the time they get to school at 7 years old, they will be able to succeed. So everything that I'm sharing now, first of all, I want your audience to look at this from a place of empathy rather than a place of judgment.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want your audience to open their hearts before they open their mouths. Because I'm going to say what is really happening.
Sure.
And I don't want you to say, macam tu lah. No, I want you to understand. I want you to first empathize and think, like, how can we as fellow Sarawakians do something to improve the situation, right, for our fellows.
Yeah.
So the environment they grew up in. I've been to their longhouses. They are amazing people, really, really good hosts. They treat me really well. They feed me a lot of food and of course, they're very generous with their thought.
Yeah.
Endurance.
Okay.
So as a people, they are amazing. They are awesome. And I really love their way of life over there. Very, very peaceful, very happy, and pretty much in sync with nature.
Can we talk about sports? Can we talk about physical abilities? Because right now, I think we are using education as a yardstick here.
Okay.
And I think we got to be careful about that. I think for sure education is important because education brings about change. But we're talking about talents in Sarawak, right? We know some of the most successful sports people in Sarawak, for example, historically Watson Yambek, and then we have currently Pandalela. I think how should we actually give equal opportunities to people in the rural areas to actually shine when it comes to physical things, physical sports, physical competition, those kind of talents? Because we're talking about challenges here, and I think so. One, like you said, is the nurturing bit, right? But how about when it comes to not being sports, for example?
Yeah, something that's aside.
Someone that actually dives really well because they live by the river, for example, and they dive for a living, right? So they dive since they are a baby. So how could a talent like that get picked up and get spotted?
Okay. So let me give your readers some context.
Sure.
So my school right now happens to be the state sports school, where we accept athletes from all over the state.
Sure.
For a few sports, football, netball, tennis, archery, takraw, a few sports, and olahraga.
Yeah.
And so Sarawak has consistently been number one in national level competitions, number one or number two. we're not far from the first place.
Yeah.
So when you talk about talents, man, our kids are amazing at sports.
Yeah.
Not every kid wants to come to Kuching. Maybe because it's too far away. Like maybe they live in Limbang, or maybe because the parents feel that they're too young, not ready to let them go. So I feel that their teachers in their schools will be the best ones to be able to nurture, develop, and also to find opportunities for these kids to shine.
Thank you for that. Let's go to a break now. When we come back, our final segment, we're going to talk about whether teachers are enough to bring about change in the rural areas. And if not, what could we do as a people? We'll be right back. Welcome back to BIZ Chat with Charles Liew, and we are still with Jarod. Let me ask you this. Are teachers alone enough to uncover and discover hidden talent in the Sarawak interiors? Now, before you ask me, teachers alone, in my mind, teachers are already creating change. For teachers to say yes to that posting into the Sarawak interiors, they are already helping to uncover talents. So that's why I gotta give that premise, because I already feel that way. Okay, so I'm asking you, are teachers alone enough to bring about that kind of change?
So I suspect that you're expecting my answer of no.
You're expecting,
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Teachers alone,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, okay,
right?
okay.
Because before the kid gets to my, like I'm a teacher, get to my classroom, they've already had years of home, right? Or whatever else this kid is exposed to.
Yes.
So there is a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It's the parents, teacher, in combination with the extended family, maybe the kindergarten teacher, the primary school.
The
it takes a
ecosystem,
village.
the ecosystem, yeah.
Grandparents, takes the counselor, it's a whole, it's a very massive, unmeasurable thing. Now, but a teacher plays a pivotal role.
Absolutely.
Because the kid has to be in the teacher's classroom.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you can remember a teacher that has changed your life, a good teacher that has changed your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, if your audience doesn't have a good teacher that they can remember, they can definitely remember a teacher that they never want to be like in the future.
Yeah.
Right, so we know intuitively a teacher makes a big difference, but if it's a teacher alone, I would say no. Teenagers who got into like Oxford University on a math scholarship, who identified their talents first? Most of the time, it's their parents, and then the teachers and the professors supported the child on their way up. So I would say no, not teachers alone. We need a village.
Okay.
We need a lot of people investing into this one life.
Thank you for that. Okay. Now let's zoom in on teachers. Okay. Because I feel like for any one of us to try to go into a place like Katibas, for example, right? I mean, where you were, there will be no motivation to want to go there purely because of that 2-hour boat ride. From Cebu to Song, and then a 1-hour boat ride. So even if you want to go, it's gonna take something to actually push us over and say to motivate us to go, right? But teachers are getting posted there. Teachers are being put in these places, and they would have to go. Okay, so they are going in because they are making a living out of it, because that's their career here that we are talking about. So the question is this: are teachers empowered enough to do that?
I like what you said just now. I like that you said teachers, they live there, so they're very familiar with what's going on the ground, and they're the best people to be able to detect talent in rural parts of Sarawak. And I want to preface this by saying that my school is not the most rural school There are hundreds of teachers
Absolutely.
from all over Malaysia. We have a lot of teachers from West Malaysia who gave up, their friends, their family, maybe even putting their career at risk by coming to Sarawak and going into the rural areas to serve our kids.
Yeah.
So to those teachers, I want to say thank you, and I really respect them. And so I cannot speak on behalf of all these teachers. I can only speak from my experience as a teacher in Katibas and what I have seen. Now, your question of if a teacher is empowered, are teachers empowered to do basically what they need to do, identify talents and develop them? I would say it very much depends on their leaders. In my experience, I feel that the principal or the guru besar has the biggest role to play in terms of empowering a teacher. One reason is because in recent news, there was a survey carried out, and it found that Malaysia is the highest in the world. Okay, number one in the world in terms of power distance. So what is power distance? Power distance is, let's say you are my boss and I'm an employee. If our power distance is great, I cannot come to you with problems. Or if you make a decision, I cannot come to you and say, there's something not right here.
Accessibility, basically.
In Western countries, the power distance is close, it's very low. So a subordinate can tell their supervisor or their manager that, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. Maybe this idea is better. But in Malaysia, it's proven that we don't have that. And so I feel that the supervisors, their principals, their guru besar play a really big role in empowering teachers and allowing teachers to do what they need to do to achieve the goals of the school and to help the kids discover and develop talent. Because it's already proven that we have a lot of really good teachers in Malaysia. We have recently, in 2020, last year, we have a top 10 finalists for the Varkey Foundation Global Teacher Prize, which is like the Nobel Prize for teachers, and we have a Malaysian there, Cikgu Sam, right? He works in rural areas with the orang asli. We have in Sarawak a teacher called Cikgu Nazmi, who in 2019 won a national prize for innovation. And he is really amazing. This Sarawakian teacher, look him up, Cikgu Nazmi. Recently, in his rural school, there was a flood, and he set up a floating library. Very cool. Right? So we have teachers like this.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So, guys, we have come to the end of the program. We really thank Cikgu Jarod for coming on the show. At the end of the day, here's the thing. To improve the economy of a state, we got to look at all different areas. And I think also we want people to travel from other countries and we say, oh, this guy comes from this country to come serve in Sarawak or whatever, and that's amazing. Oh, that guy he's actually from Australia or England. He's teaching maths here or whatever. Here's the thing. Our belief is that there are also talents lying dormant in the interiors of Sarawak. That's a huge part of Sarawak is still covered in rainforest. And Cikgu Jarod has been inside and he has seen these talents firsthand, and we need to find ways to harness these talents to help them to shine. And I think as soon as we're able to uncover human capital that would otherwise be lying untapped, right? Until then, I think we would always not completely be self-sufficient. I think we will always look outside of ourselves. And I think as a people, I always look at Sarawak as being able to self-sustain. And I think it's something that I fully believe that we have the capacity to do, but until we realize there's potential within us, it's hard to do. Until the next episode, that's all from us. Bye.